for those of you who are sick and tired of my credit denial account siphon dealer deck. Well, here's some good news for you. It's Nerf Hub for a change, and it packs some counterplay to credit denial itself. What, you don't like NBN? You hate fast advance? Well, too bad for you. I mean, there's no reason to hate on Nerf Hub now that the biggest counter ever has been printed in the form of plot. So now that fast advance is hosed quite a bit, there are only a couple of ways to play NBN now, and most of them revolve around tag flooding, this one inclusive. So looking at the graphic, and to summarize it in 6 words, this deck revolves around big money, big trace, big Beale. It's very standard, very old school mid-season psychographics. One thing that I realized that not many people have actually explored, despite the mid-season psychographics combo being out for so long already, is just massive, straight up event economy. I haven't seen any decks play big event economy to fuel mid-seasons. They are all in on the mid-season psychographics combo, and this deck tries to do just that. At regionals in just a couple of days ago, I actually saw the second place guy was playing a flatline deck that involved lots of event economy to fuel the mid-season strays. So I thought this was a very good idea, but instead of going for the Scorched Earth route, I went instead for the infection psychographics. Well, why spend influence on Scorched Earth when you can use it on better stuff like ice and more economy? So this is a game against Leela, and Leela is pretty much the toughest matchup for Nerf Hub because you cannot afford to fast advance your Astro Scripts with so little ice. This deck runs very little ice, about only 12 ice, so I'm quite happy that I actually found 2 ice on my first turn. And I managed to seal up all 3 central servers, which nullifies security testing. That's fantastic. Unfortunately, I'm starting to get agenda clogged again, even though I shuffled through with Jackson once, so that's quite annoying. And he does find his Corroder very early, which means that he can still sec test for decent amounts. I continue becoming agenda flooded, 3 agendas in hand, that's not good, so I find my next Jackson and pitch the Beale, the NAPD, and the market research out of the way. So this is my second Jackson that I've used up, and of course I reshuffle everything immediately. I'm not going to get Hades sharded right now. Alright, so he goes and finds his entire Breaker Suite, which is horrible news. Seeing the whole Breaker Suite means that he can now account siphon me, and this deck cannot afford to get an account siphon, even though I have tag protection. You do not want to get siphoned because once the first siphon lands, you are almost certainly not going to land your mid-season trace, and you desperately need the mid-seasons if you want to get anything accomplished this game. This deck is very much all in on the mid-seasons, hence I'm running 3 copies of it, and I still haven't seen it yet. If the runner decides to play passively by not running at all until they have more credits than you, then it's time to score out in the typical Astro Train style. And right as I say about Astro Train, I do have an Astro script in my hand, and I'm ready to use it. His turn, he runs through my pop-up window and has an RNDI, so he sees 2 cards, but does not find any agenda, so I'm getting pretty lucky there. Well, I draw into a Celeb Gift, and yes, I decide to show him all my cards except for Astro Script, obviously. This will put me at a huge credit advantage against him, which is, again, as I said, very important. Now I feel much safer with 2 Architects protecting HQ, because this means that he cannot get through. I mean, he'll still be able to land a siphon if he wants to, but I'll get something out of it. In the meantime, he does bring out a symmetrical Visage, so now he is going to really snowball in terms of credit. So I need to get something started right now, and it's none other than the Naked Astro Script. If he lets me score it, I'll have a huge advantage. If he steals it, I'm going to hope that I draw into mid-seasons. With 30 cards in deck, I'm hoping that I have a 1 in 10 shot of drawing the mid-seasons, and if that fails, the Corporate Shuffle will give me a 1 in 6 chance. It should be higher than that. Roughly a 1 in 6 chance of finding the 1 mid-seasons I need. He has 15 credits to my 30. Let's see if I can find it. The mandatory draw does not draw me anything. I shuffle into 2 DBSs and 2 agendas. Oh crap. So I lost an Astro script for nothing. That is a huge loss. It was a gamble because I knew that my pet campaign was only generating 1 credit a turn, whereas his security testing was generating 2, and he has a symmetrical visage that will get him another 1. So I felt that I was very pressured into fast scoring the Astro script, and it didn't seem like he was being overly aggressive anyway. So anyway, the turn after, I finally draw into my mid-seasons. About time, huh? Yep. Well, at least now I can bait him with another Astro script, if need be. I continue installing more stuff, and I only draw into more agendas, which is not sweet at all. I've more or less run out of Jacksons. There's only 1 left in the deck. And once he legworks in, it can very well be game. So in the meantime, he does get KD Jones up in addition to security testing. And gosh, symmetrical visage. That's horrible. So in the meantime, I decide to install the Sealed Vault. Now, yes, this is my secret tech against anyone who's playing any combination of Siphon or Vamp. This deck dies hard to any runner who can deny credits. It is the easiest way to swing the credit lead into the runner's favor, which means that I cannot land a mid-seasons. Hence, my choice of including spending influence for stuff like Sealed Vault. Very, very important to make sure that if they attempt a Siphon, I remain safe. Here I pitch an NAPD to Archives since he doesn't seem to be checking Archives. I don't want to have NAPD clogging my hand, and he probably won't win off that anyway. So, as I fully expected, he goes for the Siphon. I rest the Architect to force a Fairy out, and then, booyah! 0 credits left. Do the Siphon for all I care. So this is very important. This means that he cannot easily deny me credits from Siphon, which means that I still have the credit lead over him. I can still potentially mid-seasons him. Of course, he doesn't hit the agenda, so that doesn't happen, and I'm forced to trash Sealed Vault because he runs it. Well, that I still come out ahead in this exchange, but I need to be careful of the same old thing on the board. I know full well that the next Siphon is looming. So here I find the Information Overload and a Christian Grid. I'm very concerned with defending against Siphon at this point. Oh no, okay, that was a big mistake. The chance of me hitting a successful mid-seasons at this point is very low. I should have went for the Christian Grid to protect myself against legwork and account Siphon. We'll see how that pans out for me. Yeah, my daily business show gave me a Christian Grid and a restructure. A Christian Grid and an Info Overload. I chose the Info Overload instead, which is probably a mistake because he is very, very rich right now, and I cannot compete with KT plus Symmetrical Visage plus Security Testing. That's way too much money. So I find myself between Viper and Pop-Up. Viper is the obvious choice against a zero-link runner with Zoo as their only code gate breaker. So that goes on R&D because I'm very afraid of the R&D-I at this point. I do not want to rush out install the naked Beale just yet. I rather have the Beale in hand so that I can use psychographics on it when the time comes. So I find a market research and the psychographics I was looking for. I'm digging for the Astro script, but I'm not finding it, unfortunately. And here I decide to... Do I install the Beale here? It's a very, very tempting move to install the Beale here, but I chose not to. I'm setting up the remote in case I draw into Engender next turn, which is very likely given I'm running 3 DBSs. In the meantime, he solidifies his economy, and guess what? He is neck and neck with me right now. 37 credit. Oh, okay, he installs an R&DI. Here I wanted to see an agenda, but I did not get it. Instead, I find my Sealed Vault again. So I decide to install the Sealed Vault, pretending that's an agenda, and then installing the Viper over it. Hopefully I can bait him into running the remote to waste his resources, especially the Fairy, because the innermost ice is an Architect. So of course he gets more money. At this point he's getting 3 free credits a turn, with Security Testing and Desperado, so now he's richer than me. So he inside jobs my remote, and I'm going to show him the Architect, which he has to break with Fairy because it's his second last click. And he sees the Sealed Vault, which I don't think he will trash, but this leaves me at 32 credits to his 43. This is not where I want to be. I cannot score any agendas if he's richer than me. So I'm pretty doomed at this point. I have a Beale on my DBS, but I cannot use it, so I take the close accounts instead. And here I just go for the Astro Script. There's nothing better I can do at this point. Just hope that he cannot find his Mimic. That should deter him from running my Astro Script, because he has run out of fairies. So yep, instead of finding his Mimic, he's going for R&D instead. With 3 R&D eyes, he's going to see a whole boatload of agendas. But the Architect will hit. I'm going to look at the top 5 cards, Wraparound Restructure, 2 NAPDs, and a Midseasons. So since he's going to dig 4 deep, I have no chance of preventing him from taking an... Well, I do. What happens here is that I can install one of the NAPDs. Well, that was a mistake. I should have installed one of the wraparounds and used the 2 DBSs to shuffle the 2 NAPDs back under the deck. Instead, I installed one of the NAPDs naked on the table, which is pretty dangerous. And this basically means that he sees 4 cards, most of which I don't know what they are. Turns out he finds 1 Astro Script and 1 NAPD, and is now instantly on match point. And the worst news is he triggers Leela twice. So now I'm completely flooded with cards. I started my turn with 10 cards. What am I to do here? Well, obviously I'm going to fire off the Midseasons at this point. There's no other time to fire it off. And of course he makes the correct move of beating the trace, because if he doesn't, I'm going to close his accounts. So here I'm forced to painfully uninstall some ice whilst awaiting my fate. Even though he spent all but 1 of his credits to beat the Midseasons trace, he easily racks a good sum of credits back up, thanks to Katie Jones and Visage and security testing. Because of this, yes, I wasn't able to slow him down at all with that Midseasons. It just delayed him for 1 turn. Next turn, he's going to go back to R&D and see 4 more fresh cards. So I'm in a lot of trouble right now. So the only thing I can do right now is to hopefully bait his attention into the other servers and chuck any excess agendas from my hand, because if he finds 1 more agenda, it's game. Yep, I'm at a pretty desperate point right now. I'm only on 2 agenda points. I need way more than this to win the game, and the Astro Train is all but dead, as he found all my Astro Scripts but 1, the one sitting in my remote. So here he checks my servers just to be sure, and sure enough it's only a Christian grid. I'm trying to stall for time as much as I can right now, because I know the next time he hits R&D is probably game. I bury 2 of the agendas in R&D and score the Astro Script. Yep. He bounces back the Sealed Vault, and at this point close accounts means nothing because he's not going to take any more tags. He's on 6 agenda points. The next agenda steal will win him the game. So Midseasons is useless. He finally finds the breaker he was waiting for, and my R&D has 5 cards, 2 of which are agendas. He's going to see 4 of them, so that's game. So painful. But yeah, Leela is a tough matchup for this deck. I would... well, Prepaid Kate with Claude is also a tough matchup, admittedly, but Leela is just too much pressure to deal with. After scoring an agenda, you open yourself to the possibility of being siphoned, and the credit swing that Leela is able to impose is just way too much between account siphon and all those resources. She's able to make a heckload of money very quickly. One of the biggest mistakes I made this game was allowing him to get security testing off for free for the entire game. The pet campaign actually did more work for him than it did for me, so that was a big mistake. In future games, against anyone running security testing, I should avoid creating naked remotes altogether, unless they are Jacksons or agendas. Well, lesson learned. Time to move on. Thanks for watching Happy Net Running. See you around.